If you can relate to the feeling of spending all of your time on Anki for Japanese and then wondering why improving in Japanese feels so slow, then this video is probably going to be pretty interesting for you. So I recently hopped on a call with one of my viewers and I asked him what his routine is like, and he said that the core of his studying is him doing Anki and memorizing words because for him, it was way more comfortable than immersing. So today I'm going to give you my advice on what I think is the most optimal way to use Anki and to just help you to stop thinking that just because you did Anki, that means you study Japanese for the day. So what's the real issue here? Is that only doing Anki is going to turn you into the guy who stayed at the same Japanese level for the past 2 years, because it doesn't really count as immersion at all. So even with your new cards on Anki, it's going to keep your general ability at maintenance, because even if you learn new words, you should still be seeing them in a natural context instead of on the front of a digital flashcard. The worst thing that can happen in your AJAT career is that you just start to plateau and then eventually quit Japanese as a whole. Now, I'm going to assume that you all know why immersion is so powerful and a bit of AJAT philosophy on why input is important. But for example, when I was just starting out, I had the most common 1K Japanese words in an Anki deck where I would learn 15 words a day and then go immerse and look out for them. So that probably sounds very familiar to you if you've been trying to learn through Anki and do immersion too. But the thing is, this only worked for me because I was using Anki as the springboard for my immersion. And what I mean by that is one of my favorite things I've heard from this was said by Refold, for example. Anki is the seeds to Japanese, but immersion is the water that grows the seeds. For example, for more complicated words like keizai, these were words that I didn't see too much while watching simple TV shows and animes at the start. And even though I was repping this card as usual and I knew it according to Anki's terms, when I actually read or saw this for the first time in actual native content, I hadn't seen it enough in its actual context to actually understand it the first time, and I had to look it up. So in other words, my seed for that word kind of died before I even put the water on it. Now I want to make it very clear that this video is not saying to neglect Anki, but for beginners, your time is way better spent on immersion. Like seriously, you shouldn't be adding any words to your Anki if you don't even know at least the most common 1,000 words of Japanese. And since most of my viewers I know here are beginners or lower intermediate, it's really more important to immerse than to grind out a core 2K word deck with, economic terms that you won't actually see in your immersion for at least weeks or even months. So that leads me to the next question that I'll assume you have. How should I be using Anki if I only have 1 or 2 hours a day to immerse and I spend it all on Anki? So if you don't have a lot of time or only like 1 or 2 hours a day, then set yourself a strict cap of 30 minutes of Anki and only do immersion for the rest. And besides passive listening, because that's a whole different topic, your active immersion time should just be the content that you enjoy. So for example, my friend told me that Anki is just easier and more comfortable for him than to thug it out and immerse in some content that he didn't understand 100%. And really part of this comes down to how well you can tolerate ambiguity, just being able to sit through the show and not understand anything and be okay with it, right? And that's why finding shows that are fun at the start is really helpful for you, and it's going to arguably be kind of the most important thing. So what if you spent more time enjoying Japanese content rather than just grinding flashcards? You might be surprised at how quickly you'll improve by that. Now, what about actually adding words to Anki? So to sum up, if you haven't finished your core 1K or 2K deck, then you really shouldn't be worrying about making your own cards at all. Basically, the whole point of this video is just that if you're repping Anki for an hour or 2 a day and not actually immersing, then you should probably expect to stay near your current level for a while. If this video helped you, then please consider checking out my Patreon, where you can join a private Discord server full of other AJATers and get help with your immersion routine. We also have a ton of great free resources in there. And as always, I hope you found some value from watching my content. And それじゃ、またね。